I hope this story can be an inspiration for you all over the world, especially for those of you who are overcoming trauma in your life. And did you know, it took me 30 years to realize what I was going to tell you in 10 minutes. So make sure you listen until the end, because at the end of the video, I tell how I was finally able to escape from such painful past trauma. Let's start it. This video was made because I was triggered by a comment I saw on one of the YouTube channel which touched me. Someone shared their story about how deeply they were suffering, feeling completely broken. They were left by their life for certain reasons, and now they cannot seem to let go of the trauma and emotional pain. I completely understand what they are going through. I've been in a similar situation, though with a different version of the story. Okay, let me share a bit about my past. I once went through a serious conflict with my wife, even to the point of splitting 3 times. But I've always been a very critical thinker when it comes to dealing with situations. What I mean by critical is that I constantly ask, why is this happening? And try to find answers from various sources by watching YouTube videos, even consulting spiritual teachers. But none of that healed my emotional wounds. Coincidentally, I enjoy reflecting on things. I would contemplate my life, question the essence of existence, wonder why I used to be so temperamental. Thankfully, I've now learned to control it completely and ask myself why certain events happen to me. I had so many unanswered questions, all in search of a solution to my struggles. Over time, I gathered insights from different sources and started experimenting with what I learned. You could say I was going through a phase where I was looking for validations, trying to make sense of what had happened to me. I came across a statement that said, everything that happens originates from within you. I started to introspect. Was this really true? But what I believed at the time didn't seem to align with my reality. So I searched for more perspectives and found another idea that said humans are the creators of their own destiny. And again, I reflected deeply. Eventually, I realized this was just another way of saying the same thing before about statement everything that happens originates from within you, but I needed proof. I kept wondering, why haven't I experienced this truth in my own life? So I continued my inner search, examining my past, my emotions, and my life journey from childhood to marriage and family life. And then, after deep contemplation, it hit me. They were right. The experts, the spiritual teachers, all of them were telling the truth. I finally understood. Everything that happens to me is something I invited into my life. But I still didn't understand how this worked. What was the mechanism behind it? Until one day I discovered the real cause of my struggles. I mapped it out in my solitude and found the root of it all. It turns out I still have the trauma inside of me. Yes, trauma from my parents' divorce when I was around 20 years old. That experience left me deeply resentful toward my mother. She filed for divorce on her own, citing financial struggles and incompatibility. To me, it made no sense. I had seen firsthand how hard my father worked for our family, and when my mother filed for divorce, she was still working overseas. A little backstory: my father and I were left behind while my mother worked abroad for 4 years. We lived with my grandmother, in other terms, my mother's mother, in a house that belonged to her family. Maybe I'll tell more about this in another segment, or even write a book about it someday to inspire others about the importance of mental health for children affected by divorce. Okay, back to the topic of trauma. Because of my mother's decision, I couldn't accept it. I was angry at her because I loved my father so much. And why did I love my father so much? Because I had spent far more time with him and my grandmother than with my mother, who was far away. I witnessed my father's sacrifices. Then, did you know the trauma, without me realizing it, carried over into my own family life? I started resenting my wife, I started resenting my children. Imagine how awful that must have been for them. Imagine being a woman and having your husband and father of your children treat you with resentment. I was in a terrible place. And here's the thing, I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't understand why I was acting that way. And because I didn't know the cause, I couldn't stop myself. I became indifferent toward my wife and kids. I was harsh with my words. I didn't want to be like that, but I could not hold back my emotions. So I searched for answer again and again. I tried everything: meditation, breaking old beliefs that were deeply rooted in me, and many other practices. And you know what I realized after all that searching? No matter how much information I gathered, everything always came back to me. I was the one who had to decide what to do next. So I asked myself, what else can I do to change my behavior and free myself from these harmful emotions? I desperately wanted to be free from negativity. Then, one day, as I was reflecting, the answer suddenly appeared in my mind. What was it? A voice inside me seemed to say, you will never be free from your past trauma until you are willing to accept it, acknowledge it, and then forgive it. After that, let it be at peace with you. And in that moment, I knew this was the truth. So I started practicing this every day. Morning and night, I meditated. I tried to communicate with my trauma, to get to know it better, to befriend it. When emotions surface, I observe them with love and compassion. I treat my trauma like a child throwing a tantrum, one that simply needed attention and validation. I forgive it, I embraced it. And day by day, something changed. Over time, I could finally accept my past without emotional pain. I forgive my mother, I forgive my wife, I forgive my children. And most importantly, I learned to love myself. Since adopting this mindful way of living, I've gained so much. One of the greatest lessons I've learned is that love without attachment is more beautiful and freeing than love with attachment and possessiveness. Now I feel happier, more peaceful, more at ease. And I'm slowly teaching my children how to recognize and respond to their emotions so they don't struggle with trauma later in life. Because I know the way I treated them before has already left scars. Even if they don't feel the effect now, I know they will remember. So, thank you for being here with me. You are truly amazing. Once again, I appreciate all your support. Subscribe to this channel for more inspiration on mental health and trauma healing. I hope this story inspires those of you who are on your own healing journey. Stay strong, stay optimistic, and always believe in yourself. See you in the next video, and always trust your inside desire.